Hi guys, the date is March 26, 2026, and this is a video about how the smallest dogs bark the loudest. And that kind of is centered around the idea that, take confidence, for example. Someone who has confidence doesn't go around talking about how they have confidence because they actively display it in their actions. And a really popular version of this that isn't the best example is money, because obviously someone who's rich can flex a lot of money on the internet or something, but you have to look at the ulterior motive. Someone who's rich doesn't flex their money and doesn't throw a bunch of cash around, but someone who wants people to think they're rich does. And those two can coincide. You can be rich and you can want people to think you're rich, but there's always a motive behind it. Maybe you want attention. Maybe you want people to buy your online course. But this kind of core value is displayed everywhere. And once you kind of it really helps you pull back the curtain on a lot of things and people that you maybe even look up to or admire, or like for me specifically, there was this, I was into the financial markets, and there was this person that I always used to think was like really really cool. And it turns out, I kind of always knew it, but it turns out, they never actually made any money trading. They just made money selling a course. And I never bought their course, but it still kind of hurt because, I don't know, it's just, if anyone is, or let's bring this into the context of YouTube, if anyone is making a bunch of videos about a specific topic, maybe camping, maybe finance, maybe self-improvement. This person, maybe it's finance, this person isn't a trader. This person is a YouTuber. Some of the biggest, I don't want to name names, but some of the biggest self-improvement YouTubers, they're not just people self-improving, they're YouTubers. That's why I like to label my YouTube channel as more of a documentary, because I'm going for more documentation of my self-improvement and that, instead of a YouTuber. I'm not trying to sell a course. I'm not gonna ever put ads on my video, and if my videos get big enough that YouTube automatically put ads on them, I'll leave YouTube and document it somewhere else. But what I'm trying to say is, authenticity is a rare quality, which I will make a video on that, but especially when it comes to people vying for your attention. This person that I looked up to had like 5 other channels just for making clips of him so that people would find him. And he scammed people, and it's just like, man, I didn't see that coming, but I kind of did, because you can see with all of these people, they're just vying for your attention. And you see it in the rich people too. You see it, I'm again not going to name names, but you see it in the people who, in politics as well. The people who talk and talk and talk about having all these qualities, but they never show them. You look at their actions, you look at what they say they do, and then you look at their actual actions, and it doesn't display any of these values that they're talking about. And just anywhere in your life, sometimes you'll notice someone who talks a lot. Maybe, how do I put this in a way that's easy to understand? Maybe you know someone who it kind of feels like they're performing instead of being authentic. And authenticity isn't always loud, you know? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. It's because, you know, it goes back to actions speak louder than words. If everyone is, you know, everyone talks so much nowadays, and words have kind of lost their meaning. But if you really look at it in the context of actions and what people say, values they say they have versus what they actually display, you can really see the gap where I don't want to say humanity, but where us as a society kind of fell off. Because you take politicians and they just spout out off like words and words and words. Words that have true meaning, like justice, peace, and but yeah, so you see with the politicians, you know, they say all these words and they lose their meaning because you have people you look up to, and powerful people and people who make change with their words say these things and then not display any action on them. It takes the meaning away from these words. And so when you hear them now, it's kind of just like, ugh, like, okay, like they don't mean anything anymore. And I think that's a rare quality that comes with authenticity, is you have actual power behind your words because you mean them and you give them meaning through your actions. And that's another thing with the smallest dogs bark the loudest, is their actions have no meaning behind them. Their words have, or not their actions, their words have no meaning. And their actions usually contradict their words. Even, yeah, you just see it everywhere, and it's not something that people talk about a lot, but I think that if people focus on that more, I just want to bring awareness to it, because I think that I know this isn't going to reach like a ton of people, or it might, but if we focus on the loudest people with no meaning behind their actions, like we've been doing, it's going to have a real negative impact. And that the most ironic thing is that it doesn't bring value to the people being loud. They think that kind of if they talk about these values, then that's their values, but it's not. And you look at these people who are the loudest, these rich, famous people, politicians, or just normal people, and you look at the facade they put on, and then you look at the reality of it. The reality of, and it's hard to tell how they truly feel, but you can see it in their addictions. You can see it in their, how they talk, the way fulfillment looks versus how they are, you know? It's like it doesn't lead anywhere solid. And You know, it's like that thing, money won't solve your problems. It just gives you different problems. And for some people, it makes more problems. But yeah, that's kind of just all I wanted to talk about for this video. That's the end of the video.